Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's had a great New Year so far. I figured I would do a live stream to talk about Stranger Things season 5. And I also kind of want to provide a little reflection or just some thoughts on the series as a whole from the first season to the last. I also do want to do a little ranking of all the seasons, my ranking of the seasons. Uh let's start with Stranger Things season 5 first. And by the way, there's gonna be tons of spoilers in this. Um so if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Um I think the season as a whole was good, um, but not perfect. There was a lot of issues I had with it. I think and I think one of the things that and I guess it's not the show's fault, it's just, it's just how life is, but the series doesn't have the magic as the early seasons, and maybe that is because of the characters being older, or the actors rather being older, because the characters are still like 16, 17. I guess it'd be 18 at the time of the finale, but and the actors are in their 20s, some of them are mid-20s. I think Caleb McLaughlin is in his I think he's like 24, 25 now. Um, and everybody else is in their early 20s, and it's weird. Um, I think that makes the show, I don't wanna say hard to watch, but it just doesn't have the magic as the early seasons, and I think a lot of it also is the fact that we're older, and, I think it's kind of a good thing that they ended it, where they did, 'cause, it wouldn't have had the magic if they went on for, like, 3 more seasons or whatever, because the characters would have been the actors are gonna get a lot older, we're gonna get a lot older. What made the series so special is the fact that it was young people, kids that were leading the show, and in 2016, we were the same age as those kids, right? Um, and 2016, though, I was like 12 years old. We were about the same age as them. Um, 11, 12. So now here's my criticisms for season 5. Um, First off, the series I think it kind of redefined. The first 4 episodes are very good. The first 4 episodes are very good. The next 3, volume 2, were decent, but that's where a lot of my problems started, because then they started, giving a whole different understanding what the Upside Down is, which I guess is kind of okay, but the explanation they gave just doesn't make sense to me, because, I mean, if the Upside Down is a wormhole to, the Abyss, or Dimension X, as it's also called, um, then why haven't there been in earlier seasons that organic wall? Because we've seen that they've been, every season characters are in the Upside Down that we know, and we don't see that ever. We don't see that wall, and I mean, I don't understand why. Um, and the Duffer brothers swear up and down that they've had this plan the whole time, and I really struggle to believe that, because where was this wall in the previous seasons? Why is it just now that we're seeing it? Um, but and I can kind of feel like I feel like they were making that up as they were writing the season too, because even the characters were like, "Yeah, this is the first time we've seen this wall," and it's they think Vecna created it, and Vecna's on the other side of it. I don't know. I did not like that. I don't dislike the idea that it's a wormhole. I dislike the way it was executed. I don't think it was executed well at all. Um, I did not like Joy or not Joyce, Jonathan and Nancy breaking up. I thought that I don't like the idea of them breaking up, but more specifically, I did not like that scene. Um, it's not that the scene is bad. It's just the intention that they were trying to get across is that they were breaking up, or the Duffer Brothers. That was their intention. But the way the scene was written and shot, and the music didn't seem like a breakup. And I get, people, well, it's a healthy breakup. It's just they seemed way too happy to be having a breakup. I mean, and the way I interpreted the scene when I first watched it was, um, they were about to die, and when Jonathan said, "Will you not marry me?" I interpreted it as, well, they're about to die, so he's proposing, but ultimately they're not gonna get married because they're gonna die, right? That's what they thought. So I'm like, oh, that's how I interpreted the scene. And then there's the whole, the music was way too. And then I think they used the love theme that they've used in past seasons. I think I don't remember, to be honest. They used an upbeat sort of, you know, theme, and I just didn't like it. I'm not saying it should have been super somber, but there was a lot of room for interpretation for that scene, and for a breakup scene like that, with those particularly those 2 characters, no. But even if it was shot great, I still wouldn't like it because I don't like the idea of breaking up, and I don't like that they had them break up in the last season. Come on. Like, why, what's the point of that? I just didn't like it. I didn't see the point of it. I get the whole thing with Steve, and I get their relationship was strained because Jonathan was living in California, but I didn't like it. The next thing criticism I have is the coming out scene. I mean, I'm I just I'm sure you guys may have saw this coming. It's not because Will came out. We all knew he was gay. That's long since been established, and we knew that scene was coming. The way it was narratively, the actual narrative of it, I didn't like. I didn't like how Will tied it back to Vecna, or it was tied. No, I guess Will didn't do that. It was the Duffer Brothers, right? The Duffer Brothers tied it to Vecna, even though the whole time from last season to this season that we've seen Vecna, Will's personal life has never been on Vecna's mind ever. Yeah, he knows about it. I'm sure he does, but he's never tried to use it against him. And I think it's because Vecna just doesn't care. I mean, why would he? Um, so and then the way, like, the whole getting them everybody around the table, hey, it just seemed like, hey, yeah, I get we're about to go fight and save the world, but just so you guys know, I'm gay. I'm like, what? And of course, I know gay people in my life, and a lot of my friends are gay. You they when you're coming out, especially in the 1980s, remember, this takes place in the 80s. You don't bring a whole bunch of people around in a room and announce it. I mean, that's what they've told me, that what gay people, when they come out, they tell their really close families first, usually one-on-one, not even together. The way I think it should have been done was he should have brought Joyce and Jonathan, told them first, that's his immediate family, and then tell the party. I don't think he needed to tell anybody else. He didn't need to tell Steve. Well, I mean, Robin kind of figured it out. Murray, Hopper. I mean, I was really confused why and I remember watching the scene. I'm like, what? You're doing this in front of everyone, even people that don't care, like Murray. Like, I don't know. It's the 80s, and it's that that kind of living that life was not accepted back then, of course, and I don't know. I just did not like it at all. And I did not like how it was tied back to Vecna. I don't think it should have anything to do with Vecna. I think it should have been Will coming out on his own terms with his family and his friends and leaving it at that, you know? That's what I think. Um, hello, forget your name, because I can't actually see your username, I only see your tag. What's your name again? I forget. Anyway, those are my main criticisms. Everything else I thought was really good. I liked the general story. I liked, you know, now here's one thing I wish we kind of had some more explanation on. Like, what exactly was Vecna's overall plan? Not for this, just the season, but the whole show. Because I mean, okay, the first season he captures Will. In the second season, he releases the Demodogs because a gate was left open. Um, the third season, there's the flayed thing, and then the whole monster. I mean, what exactly was Vecna's plan? Like, maybe I'm not thinking about it correctly, but oh yeah, you're Yanis. I remember now. What's up, man? But what exactly was his overall plan? Like, was he just trying to edge his way into Hawkins, or like I don't understand it. It wasn't really explained. Um, and what about what other? Yeah, the last episode did clarify the relationship between them. It took them forever to finally clarify this, but Vecna and the Mind Flayer, they're not one and the same. They are different. They're more so kind of like how the Emperor and Darth Vader are. The Emperor is your Mind Flayer, Vecna is your Darth Vader. The difference is Vader being conflicted, Vecna is not conflicted at all. But they are different, but it's like a symbiote kind of, or a um you know I don't they're working together basically. That's kind of how I see it. They're working together, using each other's abilities for sort of the same goal, which was, I guess, well, destroying the world. But that's kind of, that was explained. And, the Duffer Brothers said they kind of consider doing a redemption arc for Vecna, which it would depend on how they executed it if they were to do that. It would depend. And even then, they did kind of, you know, Will try to redeem him, but it didn't work, of course, unfortunately. I think Vecna was just too far gone. But anyway, um, oh, I better talk about this. This is obviously the main part of the finales. The whole, it's kind of the climax of the finale. 11. Let's talk about her again. Huge spoilers. I haven't spoiled you enough. I'm really going to spoil you now if you haven't watched the episode. That 11's story is left open-ended. So after they kill Vecna and they kill the Mind, well, I don't think they killed the Mind Flayer, but they destroyed it or they crippled it. They leave the Upside Down. Everyone's happy. And of course, the military captures them, right? Because the military's been following the trail of breadcrumbs that they've left, um, looking for 11. But they realize she's gone. They don't know where she went. She just kind of disappeared. Well, they look back at the portal and they see 11 there. And the Upside, and by this time, they put a bomb on that shield, whatever that thing was, in the Upside Down. And, it's to destroy the Upside Down is the goal. Um, and 11's still in there. And in the previous episode, they had 11 and Callie was like, we need to kill ourselves because if we don't, then they'll keep doing this. The government will keep coming after us because of our powers. And 11 at first is like no, but then she agrees, and Callie ends up getting killed early in the finale, but Eleven does that. She stays in the Upside Down. And we're made to believe that she dies in the Upside Down. And then they do a time jump and they show what's going on. Well, at the end of the episode, they're playing D&D, which by the way, that was great. I thought that was a really good way to end the series was have them play D&D. I think that was awesome. Um, but Mike is telling them the story, for, of course, using D&D language, but he's telling them this story about Eleven and the fact that maybe she could have survived and that everything that they saw was an illusion. And that she survived and she's, in a far away, she's in another country where I think it's meant to be implied to be Greenland. Now, it's just a theory that Mike has, but it's sort of, and the Duffer Brothers confirmed this, it's meant to be an open-ended question. Is Eleven actually dead? And to be honest with you, when you're doing a finale of a show and you're trying to end out the main character, I think the worst thing you can do is end a character story open-ended. You decide. I I just don't like that. I don't like it. You can have a character live happily ever after, you can have a character die, but having them we don't know what happened to him, basically. I don't know. I just don't like that at all. In my view, they should have just killed her and left it at that. But they didn't. Because at least if she's dead, we have closure. But I don't have closure. I don't know what happened. What happened to her? And I mean, are they leaving room for a spinoff? I mean, I don't know, maybe, but I would be interested in it because I like Eleven. Not, I mean, I like Eleven for Eleven as a character, but I also like Eleven because of the relationship she has with the other characters like Hopper and Mike and Will and all the other characters. You get rid of that, and I mean, I don't, you know, it would be a lot harder watching that show knowing that she's not with everybody else and whatnot. And I just don't like that. I just don't like it. I don't like that her fate is open ended like that. I just don't like it. I think I'm yapping a little too much. That's all. It's almost been 20 minutes, but that is my thoughts on season 5 as a whole. The finale was good. I had issues with it. Season 5 was good. I had issues with it though. And it's my least favorite season. We'll say that's my least favorite. Now, my reflection on the series as a whole. What do I think about the series as a whole? I think the series as a whole is one of the most culturally relevant shows of today. And I mean that in the sense of because every generation has a movie or a show or something that just really sticks with them. I think this is going to be one of that for my generation. I think Stranger Things will forever be which is one of the greatest shows of the 2000 of the teen 2010s and 2020s, I guess. Um, so I think it's gonna be one of the shows that my generation is showing their kids, and kind of like how our parents showed us shows, movies and shows from their time. They're gonna show us, we're gonna show this series to our kids. I just think it's one of those shows that I think I think what makes the show so good is it was so relatable. It was even though the shows has superpowers and monsters and different dimensions and all this other stuff in it, secret government programs, all that. It was also extremely relatable because it had some of the best character work I've ever seen on a show, and I've seen shows like like The Walking Dead. I mean, that show has a lot of good character work too, at least in the early seasons. Later seasons, not as much, but and Stranger Things is just bam, like, it has some of the best character work I've ever seen, and that's I love stories like that. I love stories that really focus on the characters and developing them, and, 'cause a lot of shows don't do that, especially sci-fi and fantasy shows, which Stranger Things kinda falls in that category, you know? They don't do that, so, I mean, they do, but it's never this in-depth, and I think that's one of the things that really made the show so well liked, and the reason why these characters are so beloved is because they were developed so well, and I think this is especially true in the early seasons. The first 3 seasons are kind of in a realm of their own. I think seasons 4 and 5, while good, I think Stranger Things 4, I enjoyed that more than season Stranger Things 1, but the first 3 seasons are on a realm of their own. I mean, there's something special about those 3 seasons, and maybe it's only special because we were younger when those shows came out, or at least I was, and, it hit a lot closer to home, when we were younger, but those 3 shows seasons are on a realm of their own, I think. But anyway, it has some great character work, and that I think that's what the show will forever be remembered for is character work. It's also one of the best, probably the best coming of age story I've ever seen. A lot of coming of age stories are cheesy and they're not really that good, but this one, man, the Duffer Brothers really understood how to write a show about kids, not only going through these crazy a crazy adventure that we most definitely are not going to go on, but at the same time making them feel just like us, like reflections of ourselves. Um, and that's what storytelling is all about. That's why I love it so much. Is it's a reflection of who we are, and it helps us understand who we are, and it helps us, it teaches us about life and how to live life. That's what stories are for, and I think the Duffer Brothers really understood that. Um, again, I have my issues with the later seasons, but overall, the show has probably the best character work I've ever seen in a show. Um, I think that's one of the reasons why I want the Duffer Brothers to do like a Star Wars project, is because Star Wars could use something like that. They could use a show about that's why I love like the EU, like the New Jedi Order specifically. Like the character work in those books are amazing, and I mean, you really get to learn the characters and who they are, and you almost, I guess, what I mean is you almost get to know them as if they're real, right? I mean, they almost become like a friend, and I think that's one of the reasons why Stranger Things ending hurts so much is because it's almost like these characters that we've got to know over the past almost 10 years now. July will be 10 years since the first season came out. We've gotten to know like they're friends, like close friends of ours, even though we've never talked to them physically, watching their adventures, we've gotten to kind of learn who they are and like a friend, like a really close friend. Um, and I think that's why character work should be honed in on when doing a show like this or any sort of story like this, because it makes the audience feel like they're actually friends with them and they actually know them. It's beautiful when it's done right. New Jedi Order understood that, and Stranger Things understands that. Um, that's and even like Matt Wilkins, when one of his videos, like when the EU ended, he even described it like a dying friend, you know? And, that's kinda how I feel about Stranger Things, like, I now I didn't watch it when it first came out, I watched it in 2020 during COVID, that's when I first watched it, um, and the first 3 seasons were out, maybe that's why they're special to me because those were the that's that's what I first saw, you know? Well, I guess we all first saw that, but 2020 was rough, so Stranger Things was, of course, when I watched it, it made me feel a lot better about things. But overall, the show is great, and I think it's going to be a show that will be with younger people like me for a long time to come. It's a wonderful show, and I urge everyone to watch because even if you're older, you can still watch it and I think enjoy and get something out of it. I think it is meant for younger people though, but I think older people can still watch it and enjoy it. Um, and I say that because, like, I mean, it does deal with, like, parent problems, like, I mean, Joyce and Hopper, I mean, especially Hopper, especially in the later seasons, I mean, you get to see when he, sort of fathers Eleven and, becomes an adoptive father to her, and you get to see him struggle with his kid growing up, I feel like that's something parents can relate to. But anyway, that's all I've got. Let me know. There's a couple people watching, let me know, I mean, how do you guys feel about it if you've seen it? Well, no one is gonna answer, so that's okay. But yeah, if you're watching the rewatch, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Um, but yeah, so overall, I'm very sad. I'm very sad the series is over because I always looked forward to the seasons when they came out. And oh yeah, I'm gonna do my I gotta do my ranking. I forgot my ranking of the 5 seasons. Number one, Stranger Things 3. I think I just like that one the most. I think the character work was at its best in that season. The next one is Stranger Things 4. I tell you what, phenomenal season, and I think I liked it because Max was a star in that season, or she played a bigger role in that season than the previous season, so I really like that. Stranger Things 1, this is like this is the epitome of what Stranger Things is meant to be. This is the first season, this is where it started. Stranger Things 2, I think really, really good as well, but kind of forgettable in some parts. And then last one is Stranger Things 5. So, and as for the reasons I already described. So that's my ranking. So it's four. No, it's three, four, one, two, five. That's my ranking. So anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys next time.